I would like to get everyone ready. Um, there is the translation headset service area at the entrance. So if you may like to have one of your own, please proceed to the entrance area and collect one. Please proceed to the entrance area and collect your translation headset if you'd like to have one. In case, right, it's better to be safe and be equipped. ท่านผู้มีเกียรติทุกท่านคะสวัสดีนะคะแล้วก็ต้อนรับ
Good morning, everyone. So may I informally invite you before we start the session. I would like to inform you that we are going to start in a few minutes, and I hope that we have headsets for interpretation. Have you picked it up? If not, and if you want to use it, right in front there will be the table where you can pick up the translation headsets.
ทุกท่านนะคะเดี๋ยวเราเตรียมความพร้อมทุกอย่าง
Thank you very much. We will start in a few minutes according to the schedule.
วัสดีค่ะ
Good.
Wonderful. Wonderful. I see smiles on your face. I'm happy and relieved with that. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the second and obviously the last day of our international conference on equitable education. And you're with me still. Five. You still remember my name? Just like number five, Rinyarat Ratanapatniyam. My greatest honor and pleasure to be welcoming all ladies and gentlemen in this bright, beautiful morning. Um, a long day ahead of us, and I'm confident that all of ladies and gentlemen will be using it, every bit of it, very wisely and usefully. Because I know that everyone here come here from really strong dedication and then strong intention to make the world a better place for everyone. Because this is the place we honors in inclusion and also we honor diversity. That's why we have all of you here with us. So thank you very much for working hard from yesterday, actually long before that, until today, this very moment, ladies and gentlemen. Shall we put our hands together to ourselves and our friends around us? Thank you very much. Flying from places around the world just to be with us today. It's not easy at all, I know. Thank you very much. And thank you to all the local community that's so strong here. And I believe that it's a good news for all the kids and adults out there. So ladies and gentlemen, it's time to reimagining education, that we get together to co-create lifelong learning for youth and adults. And it's always better, right, for our brains. Our brains just work with better when we just can recap all the things and then revise what we have learned. And then when we manage and rearrange all the information nicely, it's always better. And we just remember and understand new information even much better. So it's our greatest pleasure and honor, ladies and gentlemen, to kick off our second day and last day of the conference with recap session. So we are honored to have Senior Manager, Evidence Adoption and Implementation from Australian Education Research Organization to join us this morning for the recap. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Ms. Kate Griffiths. Welcome. Look at her big smile. I know that she will guide us throughout yesterday's presentation and all the pieces of information. Thank you very much. Please.
Thank you. Hello and good morning to everyone who's here today. I know that we've got a number of people with us here in the room today, and we've also got a number of people online. So I'd like to say hello and welcome. It's a pleasure and honour to be here today, not only to recap yesterday's session, but to be a participant at the third International Conference on Equitable Education, with a focus on reimagining education and co-creating learning for youth and adults. And I'd like to thank the organisers who have made this conference possible. Before we get started, I'd just like to give you a little bit of an introduction to who I am and why I'm here standing before you today. My name is Kate Griffiths, and I'm from the Australian Education Research Organisation, which is also known as AERO. AERO is Australia's National Education Evidence Institute, and our vision is to achieve excellence and equity in educational outcomes for all children and young people in Australia through effective use of evidence. AERO is also a proud member of the Equitable Education Alliance, which we heard about yesterday, and which has been set up to advance equitable education across the Asia-Pacific region. AERO has been a member of the EEA since 2021, and we find this an excellent forum to exchange ideas, to learn about effective practice, and to work in collaboration with our neighbours across the Asia-Pacific region to close educational gaps. As we all know, the conference this year has two key aims. That's to provide innovative recommendations for flexible learning pathways and raising public awareness of lifelong learning through sharing relevant knowledge and strategies for practitioners and others to implement in their specific contexts. The day started yesterday with an opening ceremony and welcoming remarks from His Excellency, the Deputy Minister of Education in Thailand, the Managing Director of the Equitable Education Fund, the Deputy Director of the UNESCO Regional Office in Bangkok, and the Deputy Representative of UNICEF Thailand. These speakers presented alongside the President of the Children and Youth Council of Thailand and the Director of Youth Empowerment and Digital Literacy at the Rohingya Collaborative Network. So that was the opening ceremony. This was then followed by a plenary session which focused on the global landscape in regard to equity and skills development and lifelong learning, and 4 parallel sessions in the afternoon, which focused variously on reskilling and upskilling resilient societies, ensuring effective school-to-work transitions, expanding flexible learning opportunities to alleviate educational gaps, and fostering a more inclusive TVET system. So that's a quick summary of the sessions that we had yesterday. We also know that there were probably about 150 in-person participants and about 2,000 online participants yesterday. So what were some of the key themes that came out of yesterday? Of course, there are a number of different themes across the different sessions that we held, and I've just summarised these into sort of 5 key themes, 2 of which are contextual themes and 2 of which are solutions-based themes. Now, of course, there were other themes that came out of this. This is just my sort of quick summary of what I saw as the key themes. And of course, these might evolve and adapt as we go through today's conference session. So the first one that I know that we all know, but which was emphasised yesterday, particularly through the opening sessions, is that education is a catalyst for changing lives. And this is why it's so important that all children and young people have access to education, and that we have flexible education systems that are inclusive and leave no one behind. I know that everyone in the room and online knows the importance of education, particularly for marginalised and disadvantaged youth, but I think this point was made both powerfully and passionately, particularly by the youth talk yesterday. We heard from Nur, who experienced firsthand what it was like to be initially excluded from education as a member of the Rohingya community, but who has gone on to become a sophomore at a US college and to speak 7 languages and to lead youth empowerment and digital literacy through her collaborative network. Nur emphasised that for migrant women like herself and others, it's not that marginalised youth don't want access to education, it's that they don't have access to education. Nur is now calling for action to provide this access through initiatives such as mentoring, counselling programs, funding for underfunded schools, and community and family engagement. Similarly, Nada from southern Thailand spoke passionately of quality education as the key to opportunities in life. Nada has benefited from the opportunities education has provided her and is going on to start a master's in social work, having just completed her bachelor's degree. Nada is calling for the promotion of lifelong learning, inclusive, flexible education, education that emphasises professional as well as emotional, social and life skills, and the importance of listening to the voices of children and young people when designing inclusive, flexible education systems. So that was the first contextual theme that came out of yesterday. Education is a catalyst for changing lives. The other sort of contextual theme, which we're all aware of and which is emphasised in the Bangkok statement, is that we're in a rapidly changing world, which requires us to rethink notions of education and work. And we must equip all young people to be able to not only exist in the new world, but to also thrive and to create the new world of the future. We must equip our young people with the skills to transform society as we move towards a world dominated by digital technology, AI and climate change. We heard yesterday from the Executive Director of Prakarja in Indonesia, which is a digital platform which is helping to close the skills gap between job seekers and the labour market through providing a problem-solution fit and training that is relevant to job market needs. So this is drawing on sort of a changing world, new digital technologies, in order to provide a solution, and a solution that's fit for purpose. There have been 18.9 million beneficiaries of Prakarja over 4 years, and this is an example of one successful program that we heard about that could be replicated more broadly. Similarly, we heard about Coursera, an online learning platform, and an example of how generative AI is creating more equal opportunities by making learning more accessible, no matter which country you're in, the type of device you're learning on. Coursera is partnering with national governments to promote lifelong learning and ensure youth have the skills needed in today's society. In the Transitions to Work session yesterday, we also heard about the importance of soft skills in today's rapidly evolving world and the importance of soft skills, particularly for those who may have limited job opportunities. Soft skills play a pivotal role in enhancing career readiness and fostering a proactive mindset amongst the complexities of today's world of work. And these soft skills need continuous training and reinforcement. through flexible learning approaches and lifelong learning. So we know education is a catalyst for changing lives. We know we've got a rapidly changing world. What are some of the solutions? So I think yesterday we heard quite strongly that we need flexible and adaptable systems that adjust to the needs of learners. We need to be able to take core concepts and adapt these for the local context and learn how to implement effectively, taking into account local conditions. It can be challenging to translate national plans into local actions. We may understand the theory or the idea of how something works, but not necessarily how to turn this into practical actions on the ground that make a difference. But we did hear some examples, successful examples of how this has been, how these initiatives are working on the ground. We heard about an excellent example of a pilot project being run in northeast Thailand to address the issue of youth not in employment, education or training. This pilot project uses a framework of mapping to identify local youth who are not in employment, education or training, outreach to foster trust and mutual understanding, preparation to inspire through counselling and mentoring, and offering to facilitate training and scholarships. It's an example of a robust area-based mechanism that takes core principles but adapts them to the local context to achieve outcomes. The pilot project also highlighted the importance of integrating the issue of youth who are not in employment, education and training into regular plan systems and mechanisms to achieve sustainability. We also heard another example from the Philippines of adapting to local context through the Sanyong Education Program pilot, whereby Indigenous knowledge, systems and practices are being integrated into the classrooms. This is an example of implementation on the ground, whereby national standards and policy frameworks are tailored to local contexts. The pilot's been run in 23 schools and it's been highly successful, with 98% of students achieving grades of 85% or higher and 0% dropout rates during the first quarter of the school year. I know in my own country of Australia, we also have a similar program called Two-Way Learning, which is an initiative in some schools which brings together Indigenous and Western knowledges to build a safe, respectful and inclusive learning environment. So we need flexible and adaptable systems that can adjust to the needs of learners and that can be implemented effectively on the ground. We also know that we need to put, well, we heard yesterday that we need to put young people at the centre of their learning. And in fact, part of that was also putting teachers and teaching at the centre. We heard many examples yesterday of the importance of listening to students and teacher voice, both in terms of flexible learning and lifelong learning. An example of this theme in terms of flexible learning was provided by a case study from Australia focused on inclusion and students with disability. This example showcased the importance of universal design in education, ensuring accessible physical and digital environments, flexible curricula and inclusive policies to support students with disabilities. This is an example of a model which moves beyond one-size-fits-all to ensure inclusiveness by design, and one which assumes human diversity and a people-centred approach to learning. Similarly, in terms of lifelong learning, we heard from the National Institute for Lifelong Learning in Korea, which has pioneered lifelong learning over the last 20 years, with the aim to create a lifelong education safety net and learning platform for all. Some of the initiatives we heard about include the academic credit bank system and bachelor's degree examination for self-education. Part of the success of this program has been to put learners at the centre. These schemes allow students to learn at their own pace and offer learners the most affordable, flexible learning pathways. And these are programs that have been in place for a long period of time and programs which we can learn from. And then I think the final theme that came through yesterday and came through really strongly was the importance of collaboration and working in partnerships. And be that in partnership with government, with civil society, with the private sector and/or teachers and educators. As we heard one of the moderators say yesterday, partnership for success could be the motto for this conference. We learnt during the session on a more inclusive TVET system about the importance of partnerships with the private sector, associations and financial institutions to enhance digital and green skills for lifelong learning. We also learnt about the importance of working with local entrepreneurs as trainers and mentors. In the session on Upshift, which aims to transform the learning experiences of young people based on personal empowerment and active citizenship, we learnt of the importance of teachers and educators as key partners. And a theme throughout yesterday was the need for coherence, collaboration and alignment between different levels and branches of government to ensure effective, flexible learning and lifelong learning for all. So that's my quick summary of what we learnt yesterday, and they're the key themes, both the contextual themes and the solutions that we could be thinking about today as we learn more about flexible learning and lifelong learning. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much. ขอบคุณค่ะ Thank you, Ms. Griffiths, for sharing, summarizing, and collecting pieces of information that I believe that everyone, it's really beneficial for all of us and get all